One of the biggest series right now in the world on Netflix is the British superhero series Supacell. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my TV review for Netflix's Supacell. This is one of the biggest shows right now in the world. It is a British show, and it features a lot of people that we don't know, but an interesting premise where ordinary people gain superpowers, but it's what sort of links them together that makes this a little bit more interesting. So we're going to talk about all this here in just a moment, but first let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We've got movie and TV reviews on the channel, and just about every day something new goes up, so there's always a lot to check out. With that in mind, please consider subscribing, click that like button, or comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. And you can check out the playlist on my homepage as well, because that's going to streamline your experience, whether you're looking specifically for the TV reviews or the movie reviews, and they're all separated by year, so check out the playlist on the homepage as well. All right, so Supacell. This is coming from Rap Man, who is a British rapper, writer, producer, and filmmaker as well. He had a feature film debut a few years ago. And what was that called? Blue. It was Blue something. Blue Story. And I remember seeing previews or whatever for it, and I heard it was getting buzz. I don't believe I ever saw it though. But this is sort of his next thing. It's not a feature film, but he serves as the showrunner here, and he also created the series and writes for it. And he directed, I think, over half of the episodes. So he's definitely got his hands in this. So the premise here is basically that a group of seemingly ordinary black people from South London develop these superpowers, and what unites them, as near as they can figure, is they all have a family history of sickle cell. And that's Supacell. That's kind of where we get the name for this. And so they just unexpectedly develop these superpowers. They all have different powers, and find each other and try to fend off entrapment from this secret organization who is looking to, control them, figure out how they got these powers, etc. So you have Tosin Cole sort of playing, I guess, the lead. I mean, it's pretty much an ensemble, but you may know him from EastEnders, but he also appeared in Doctor Who for a few years, in the early 2020s, I believe. So you may recognize him more than I did. I'm not a Doctor Who fan. But you also have Eddie Marzan, who is one of the leaders of the organization trying to hunt them down. You may know him from a few things. He's sort of one of the that guys in film. And Adelyeo Adedeo, who I'm unfamiliar with as well, but she is a British actress that's done a bunch of TV in England. So, a bunch of people I did not know, but this is an interesting show. I can see why it has struck a chord with so many people around the world. So, I don't know where to even begin. Let's talk about the characters themselves, because one of the things I really like about this show is the character development. Because this is a show that does not have a huge budget, what budget it has, it sort of spends on, a few fight sequences here or there. This is not what I would call an action-heavy superhero show. We get a lot of those, of course, in shows and movies. But, when you compare this to, say, like one of the Disney Plus Marvel shows or something, where there's a lot of action, sometimes they give you a little character development. But, of course, with shows like that, a lot of it is characters that we've already met in the Marvel Universe, and other avenues. But still, there's not a ton of like arcs and stuff. It's more about, okay, let's have, the big blowout fight scene every single episode. Here, well, I don't think they have the budget for that, because the fight scenes that they're okay looking, but you can tell that there's a little bit, lesser of a quality, and, that speaks, I think, to the budget. But as a result, this show is sort of tasked with giving us more details about the characters. Let's have conversations with these characters. Let's get to know them a little bit more. Let's get to, figure out their history and their backgrounds, and, what has brought them together. And so it turns out to be, maybe that's not how they envisioned it. I don't know. Look, everybody wants to make a show with a $200 million budget, right? But sometimes that's not in the cards. So I think it was wise for Ratman and his collaborators to sort of step back and say, okay, well, if we don't have the budget to make all of these really cool, action sequences and fight sequences, what can we do? Oh, I know. Let's actually have our characters have conversations and give them depth and give them meaning. And that, I think, is one of the things that makes this show stand out from almost every other superhero show around, is that they're not focused as much on the action aspect of it. And the action sequences are fine, although that's definitely one of my negatives. I think not only do they sort of look a little bit cheap sometimes, but again, budget constraints, we can understand that in a TV series, but also, there's a lot of like fast moving parts, especially maybe in the last episode where they're all sort of together fighting, and there's a lot of things going on at once. Okay, that maybe didn't look so great, and maybe is a little confusing. But leading up to that, because I did watch all 6 episodes of this. And leading up to that, it was great to sort of develop those characters more than the action sequences. Each episode is named for one of the characters, so we dive in sort of for a different character each episode, and of course, people come in and out, as we're meeting some of the other characters and they're meeting each other. But the focal point on each episode is sort of one character until we get to episode 6, which is just called Supacell, and that's where everybody is coming together. And this opens with, by the way, the first scene in episode 1 opens with like a gripping sort of, scene about this woman who's, obviously trying to run away from whatever facility we're at. And it does set up the story nicely. We don't get too many scenes like that because they're building the story as we go. But this has not been renewed yet for season 2. I don't know if we're going to get more with these characters, but it certainly ends on what could be considered a cliffhanger or a sort of, okay, let's see what's next kind of moment. So yeah, I think this definitely stands out among some of the other superhero shows and franchises that we have, just because we're focusing so much more on the characters than a lot of those do. And it's acted well too. It's not like there are any slouch in this department. I love the British accents. Always love that too. And we don't really see a lot of that in superhero lore, right? I mean, even the British actors that there are doing American-based characters. So for what that's worth, we rarely see British superhero stuff going on. So overall, I leave Supacell with a B+. You can check out all 6 episodes now on Netflix. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time. Bye.